Namaste, angels. This is the weekly general reading for the period of the 9th of May through, I think it was the 15th of May. So it should be Sunday through Saturday. And with the dice, we're beginning with massage, eat cake, and yes, anybody that's celebrating something, happy birthday. As a matter of fact, I do have a viewer, longtime viewer, Taylor. I don't know if she's going to be watching this week, but it is her birthday, May 9th. It is also the birthday of the rapper Ghostface Killer. Don't ask why I remember these things. All right, anyway. That would be Ghostface Killer from the Wu-Tang Clan, if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about. Spend money. Email. And weekend away. The cards, I have a few decks. I'm going to use the Rider-Waite like I always do, or like I have been for like the past 6 months or so, to pull the 6 placements and check out all the different areas of our life. But like for the extra messages, I have my Goddess deck because I figured it was Mother's Day weekend, and I just felt, like an overall feminine energy around us. And sure enough, with my Mary Queen of Angels deck, the beginning card is feminine. So it's like this was confirmation for me of what I was feeling. I allow my feminine nature to shine brightly as a valuable part of my identity. And this should be true of all of us, male and female, feminine and masculine alike. We are all androgynous at the soul level. We all have an inner masculine and or feminine. This can also be about healing a relationship or working on a relationship with a feminine energy in your life. Somebody else, maybe your mother. Right? Again, it's Mother's Day weekend. With these goddess cards, we'll begin with Sheila Nagig. I'm not sure. It's probably not how you pronounce her name because she's a Celtic goddess. And believe it or not, this kind of imagery used to appear above churches, like above the door entrance to a church. This woman holding her vagina open. Yeah. Until they started taking it down. But there used to be a lot of like respect and reverence for genitalia and the female body. And then, before it was turned into something perverted. So now she looks like this, and like a hag, and she represents like a new start. It's like a need for a new path. So it's like an opening, like a doorway opening to the next cycle or situation or phase or something. And then speaking of phases, behind her we have Ceridwen. I may not be pronouncing that right either, but when I look at this card, I think about the phases of the moon, even though they're actually like different versions of her face, different phases, I guess, or moods of hers. And the card is about death and rebirth. So we have a new start, we have death and rebirth, which is the end, an ending and a new start together. And we have Kali Ma, basically, and fear. So this could be about facing the fear that comes with, death and new beginnings in your life. And lastly, Rhiannon and doubt. So, and this she has a very tragic mother story where she like felt responsible for killing her own child. So there could be an extra reason why this is showing up. It's a very tragic mother-child story, obviously. But this is about doubt and pessimism and maybe feeling, unready, which is, that leads to the fear of starting a new phase or, transformation cycle in your life. So with this deck, more mother, it's the Queen of Pentacles, who's most directly represents the sign of Taurus, but can also be a Virgo or Capricorn in your life if it's an actual person, or someone likened to the traits and attributes of an earth sign that, even if they're not one. And this is about nurturing yourself, those around you, trying to find like really thoughtful and like compassionate ways to work through challenges with other people, and making your house or your environment to feel as homely and comfortable for yourself as you can. And we have the Knight of Wands also up right here. This is potentially an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Could be a Scorpio. It's possible, ruled by Mars, which is currently located in Cancer, I think. So yeah, that's possible. Anyway, this energy comes in very, very quickly. It can have to do with work or with travel. The two of these cards together can have to do with maybe some money or abundance that's earned through travel for work, or maybe you meet somebody in your travels that could turn into something romantic as well. And then, oh, okay, I picked up two. Didn't mean to pick up two. The Knight of Pentacles. So a lot of this earth energy surrounding us, probably because of the mother aspect. Speaking of the Queen of Pentacles and Taurus, of course, Venus, who represents the mother energy of the universe, opposite Mars, that I just mentioned as well, ruler of the signs of Aries and Scorpio, which is the masculine planet of love. Venus, the feminine planet of love. So they would be like the universal divine masculine and feminine. Venus rules Taurus, in addition to Libra and being the esoteric ruler of the sign of Gemini. And so this could be coming through because of her. It's important to make a detailed plan before starting any new endeavor. Once you have that plan in place, then you can take immediate action and get as much accomplished as possible. So we will take these away. I just wanted you to see what we had here, what we're going to be working with. Bring these out. Take them back here first so we can do a little shuffling. So we were starting with the Queen of Pentacles, opening to the Eight of Swords in reverse. We'll do 3 or 4 of these. 7 of Pentacles. Judgment. And the 2 of Swords. Judgment represents the planet Pluto. For me, it's about abundance that's earned. It's one of my favorite cards. Planet Pluto, sign of Scorpio. And let's see, Pluto, currently retrograde, I believe, and located in Capricorn. So maybe that's part of why the earth energy is showing up too. And our overall energy this week is the page of Wands in reverse. Potentially an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes actually in your life. The first card that we will pull this week that most directly represents us this week is the Devil in reverse. Surrounding energy, close friends, family members, co-workers, is the Six of Cups. That seems like really appropriate. I mean, it's a card that sort of represents family and siblings and things. Work and finance, High Priestess. Move this back just a little bit, actually. Love and relationship, 8 of Wands in reverse. Physical health, Ace of Cups, very nice. And spiritual health, 5 of Swords. Interesting. Upright. Let's put this here. Looks like there may be another page behind him. It is the Page of Cups, also in reverse. Immediately behind the Page of Wands. So that's another thing, again, that would say this could be Scorpio energy as well. A Scorpio, particularly different times of the year, depending upon what's going on with the planets, for me, is a combination, or can be a combination of like the Page of Wands and Cups, because again, they're ruled both by Mars and by Pluto. Another potential reason for those two cards to be showing up together is Jupiter this week enters Pisces. And it's funny, I was doing my like daily or weekend reading for my Patreon subscribers, and energy came up. I don't think it was the pages. I think it may have been the knights, but cards came up that made me think of why is the wands and the cups coming up together like this? And I was trying to figure out what planet. And I said I think Jupiter may. I know Jupiter moved into Aquarius on January 6th, where it's going to be there for a long time. But I think it does move soon into Pisces also. So maybe that's what this is about. And then sure enough, I looked it up after the reading, and that does occur this week. So we'll talk about that after I do the cards for those who want to stick around for what's going on in, and about the universe. So getting back to our cards, the Page of Wands, our overall energy in reverse, can, how do I want to say this? I mean, it can be about news that we don't necessarily want to hear. Unwelcome news that's coming soon. Not necessarily anything like dire or horrendous, like, but just something that you'd rather not happen. Like, ugh, I could do without that. You know what I mean? I could do without that. You could have missed me with that, and it would have been fine. It's that sort of thing. It usually has to do with a need for like us to make a decision and to be like definitive of it. So like decisiveness, or maybe like particular focus on one thing or another. Like, now I got to pay attention to this. I was planning on having, a relaxing week, and now this has to be like at the forefront. You know what I mean? Also, again, as a court card, can be an actual literal person in our lives. In this case, this particular card is often a female and a younger female. Even if it's just like a day or two younger, it doesn't have to be like years and years, or it doesn't have to be a child or something. Just, like a younger female. Or for me, also, the pages can represent the mutable signs more so than any other people. So, like in this case, the mutable sign of the element of wands is Sagittarius, or the mutable sign of the element of cups is Pisces. You know what? Which which would really be Jupiter and Pisces. The Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and obviously Pisces is Pisces. So yeah, that's probably the message that we're getting here. This, our overall energy is probably most directly tied to the fact that Jupiter enters Pisces this week. So I'm glad we're going to read about that and get some more detail as to what that's going to mean in our lives. Don't want to say anything more about the Page of Wands though. So it can be an actual person, it can be a female, and it can have to do with like confusion and indecision, or something. Pages for me tend to be about like incoming news or information. So something can cause you to become confused or indecisive, or require you to all of a sudden need to, focus on something and or to make a decision about it. So moving on to the card that most directly represents us this week, it is the Devil in reverse. And if you're going to get the Devil, if you're going to pull the Devil, it is better, I think, that it be in reverse than upright, because it sort of lessens the strength of the Devil. Some cards are the same whether they're upright or in reverse. This is one that, it's not as serious when it's in reverse, and sort of just guides us to take like a deeper look at a situation, and to not trust the surface appearance, to get more information, to try to get clear on something, to not be superficial, dig deeper, as they say. And we're also reminded that like life things can turn around, like at the drop of a dime, everything can change. And that can be what this Page of Wands is about too, or the connection between the two of them. Like all of a sudden, everything can be different. One minute, again, I was planning on having a relaxing week, and now the next, my week has gotten a little bit more serious, and I have to focus on some sort of situation or something. I got to turn my attention towards something. Now, the positive thing is that the Page of Wands overall is a positive card, and the Page of Cups overall is a positive card, and Jupiter as a planet overall is positive. It's like the luck bringer, and Pisces as an energy, and its ruler Neptune are about like higher thinking higher understanding, higher consciousness, higher love, our deepest emotions, our truest love in our heart, that even if we don't want to admit it. So it could be stuff that's coming up with that. And maybe that's why we're like, I'd rather not have needed to deal with this week, because it's something we're not ready to face about ourselves. That's possible. We could be confronted with, needing to decide something having to do with our higher consciousness, our spirituality, or again, our deepest love, and maybe our true, romantic interest. We've been living a lie, or that sort of thing could come up this week. And with the energy of the devil, we could feel sort of stuck in another situation and unsure as to, or in a place of fear, which could be why Kali Ma was here, as to ending this, or releasing ourselves from these shackles and jumping toward whatever that's trying to present to us. But we shouldn't look at it as a negative card, and we should use it as an opportunity, or like a reminder, or I've got to like get in control. It's just saying it's time for you to get in control, even if it's something like insignificant, like a decision about what to have for dinner. this is very common for a female, right? To think of, like, the guy asks, what you want, babe? And we're like, I don't know. We do know. I mean, obviously, because when they say, well, how about this? No, I don't want that. How about that? No, I don't want that. So obviously you do know, even if it's like a subconscious thing and buried. And so in that kind of situation, with this card showing up, it would be saying, hello, miss, it's time for you to pick one. It's time for you to decide. You need to take control, even if it's like in little small steps and small ways. All right, so moving on to the Six of Cups and our surrounding energy. So maybe something that doesn't directly involve us. It could be our close friends, our family members, our coworkers, that are involved. And so we'd be impacted in that way because somebody close to us is. That's why we care. But it doesn't necessarily directly involve us. In the general sense, this card, just warns us against spending too much time and effort on like the good old days and thinking about the past and getting stuck, right? This is an energy of stuck, getting stuck in, like memories and the past, rather than like living in the present and looking forward to the future, or the big mistake of like thinking about or convincing yourself that the best of your days or the best of your years have passed you by. And we've all probably had these moments. Like I've even had moments myself where I thought about, I used to have like the perfect, like body when I was younger, like the perfect dimensions, big enough, not too big, tiny enough, not too tight, like just really well proportioned and all this kind of stuff. And of course I had kids and and I'm older now. I'm going to be 50 next month. I also, over the past like couple years, very, very recent years, I had started to experience all these problems with my digestive system from 9/11 or whatever. So I'm not perfect anymore. I don't have perfect. But most of that time when I was married, right? So now it's like, I could use that. I could use that body today when I'm, single. So I'm using that as an example because I don't take it that seriously. Although I've had the thought. Some people get really, really stuck in that and like really get serious about it. Like, it's too late and my life is over and that sort of thing. And so this shows up to warn against that. And to remind us, to live in the moment and in the present. And, that there's any time that we have ahead of us is a blessing, and to look forward to that and to make long-term plans and enjoy spending time with family and things like that. This can also be a card about soulmates, and sometimes it has to do with exes returning. So you might get a call or something like that, and maybe that's the situation that you would have rather not had to deal with this week, or rather not been confronted by. But it could be what comes into your life. To the contrary, in terms of good news and things that we should look forward to, the High Priestess in the position of work and finance can mean that some sort of pleasant surprise, probably a la Jupiter, right? The planet of luck is coming our way soon with regard to work. And this could be a pay raise, or It could take a different form. I don't know. It could be a new job. It can be a job period where, for those of us that don't have one. It could be like you're finding out that your company that you work for, maybe they've been closed for a while, you learn that they're reopening, or whatever. It's a pleasant surprise that is tied to work. You could be, getting to go on some sort of trip or business, or learn something new, or you know um, some sort of skill advancement or training or something. If you are in the process of, or just thinking about maybe even changing jobs, then this is like an auspicious time to keep your eyes and ears open for something new. And, you know, it might come through. It could possibly come through maybe one of these people, because a lot of people, a lot of characters showing up this week so far. So, we've got this Capricorn energy and the devil. So maybe that, the high priestess, maybe somebody older, wiser, female is a conduit for you to this new job, maybe specifically Gemini or a water sign. Here we've got, again, the Page of Wands, so maybe a fire sign, younger, female, helps you as somehow a conduit, or with the Page of Cups, younger, male maybe, helps you. It's something emotionally pleasing to you. Maybe the surprise in itself can be what's emotionally pleasing to you. Puts a big smile on your face, warms your heart. So it can think of those types of things. It's also possible that there's a lot of like workplace gossip going on. And I know that this is like, you're like, what? What does that have to do with what you were just talking about? Nothing. Has nothing to do with what I was just talking about. It's just another possibility for the high priestess in this placement. And what we're guided to do is to stay our asses out of it, if possible. Ignore it, and don't get involved if there's any way that you can avoid, doing so. It's not always easy, of course, to do this, especially at work. People can try to force you into situations depending on what your position is and what their position is in relation to yours. But, and it's human nature to gossip, to an extent at least, but stay away if you can. In terms of finances, may possibly separate and apart from work, right? Just finances on their own. This is also, then this is not actually such a great card to get. It's not the card in itself that's bad, but it could be that somebody's being like dishonest with you with regard to money. Maybe it's one of these people, these characters again. You may not have all the information that you need about a situation in order to make the right decision or to act wisely, and do the right thing. So this is about you like doing your homework with any sort of financial situation. If there's a possibility of something being wrong, like your bank account or whatever, for you to actually, pay attention to it. If something needs to be disputed, for you to call the bank and put the effort into it and all that kind of stuff, because something could be funky. And if it is tied to work, it could be something with your paycheck. Your paycheck could be wrong. You could be, somebody could have shorted you out of some hours. So this is a good week to like pay attention to your bottom line, your personal bottom line. In terms of physical health, we got the Ace of Cups here. Oh, excuse me. I'm having trouble talking. Like, what does that mean? It could be tied to, in the middle of the reading, could be tied to, poor communication of something. So maybe somebody isn't purposely being dishonest with you. Maybe it's not in a malicious way, but if they're leaving information out, then it becomes maybe sort of some sort of lie by omission, or still, a detriment to you to be missing info. Could be what that's about. So the Ace of Cups in terms of physical health is, oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. The Eight of Wands for a love and relationship. I'm sorry, I almost skipped that. It's about jealousy. I'll just cut to the chase. It's about jealousy. And maybe this is, tying it into the devil and the surrounding energy. Could be jealousy with regard to, a soulmate or an ex. And maybe they're in another situation or you're in another situation romantically. And so there's some jealousy about that. Or just about the way your life is going. Maybe you guys don't show any interest in each other now, but you still have some sort of contact or know what's going on with the other. And so there could be jealousy just in like how one's life seems to be going or has turned out versus what the other person is experiencing and dealing with. Of course, in current relationships where people are together, doesn't have to be an ex. There could be jealousy, and something also from the past could be like rearing its ugly head again. And like, oh, damn, like you're still on that. There could be a jealousy from a past situation that pops up into your present, and it's like, come on, like I really I can't with this anymore. You know what I mean. Also, it is possible that you're not even in a relationship and have never been in a relationship. You're just like hopeful about a relationship with this person, like you're interested in them. And so you're jealous about something, or somebody could be looking at you that way. And, possibly it'll pop up into your attention. Moving on. Now I can move on to the Ace of Cups, upright in terms of our physical health. And it's taking a turn for the better this week. And you might have like some kind of brand new start, or just feel like you just got a brand new burst of energy. You should be feeling healthy and good, full of energy, ready to go for the week. Quick, fast, to the point. Moving on to the Five of Swords and our spirituality. This card talks about you possibly having found like spiritual answers for yourself. Maybe you discovered this new journey, right? Maybe you're new to this particular journey. You just stumbled upon my channel because you were looking up soulmates, or you were looking up twin flames, or you were looking up angels, or you were looking up, I don't know. You ended up here. And you're excited about it, maybe. That's good. You can talk. You should feel comfortable talking to, loved ones, friends, people who care and who will listen to you. However, this card, the Five of Swords, warns us that like our answers are our answers and not necessarily everybody else's, and we don't need to be trying to convert other people to our way of thinking. This happens most often in my observation. I'm not giving you no stats from that's necessarily a real statistic from somewhere or anything. This is my observation. It happens most often with Christians. That when you say you believe in God, even, the perception is automatically you believe as they do. You believe, to the letter of the Bible. You believe, Jesus is God and all this kind of stuff. And you may believe that. There's nothing wrong with believing that. But my observation is that Christians tend to presume that that's what everybody means, that they believe that way. And people don't necessarily. There are many, many religions and many, many different ways of practicing absent religion, outside of religion. Like I lived most of my life Christian, even Muslim for a time. And then I decided I was done with religiosity, period, like all of it. But I'm still a spiritual person. I still believe in God, right? So it's like that. And even my thinking and my experiences is not for me to force on other people that still believe a different way. So that's what this card is about. Not trying to necessarily convert people to your journey. Let other people have their journey. This can also be about a sudden, and maybe this is again where the Page of Wands and or Page of Cups come in. This can be about a sudden break from some sort of religiosity or spirituality, spiritual practice, religious practice that no longer works for you. And if that's the case, it just guides you to give yourself like time and space to find new answers and figure it out. And that's okay. All right, so now we will add some more cards. We'll do some clarifying. I'd meant to shuffle these cards in front of you, and I didn't. I realize now, when it's too late, that I only did the Rider-Waite deck. So we'll have to see what Mary has to say, without shuffling again, based on the shuffle that I already did. So again, we're starting with an overall energy of feminine with her deck. Whoop. All right. And I should have looked to see. It's watched over is the card that was revealed when those cards fell down. I allow myself to feel safe and to enjoy my life, knowing that heaven is watching over my loved ones and me. All right, so put those back. The card most directly representing us this week, joining the devil, is sobriety. So the devil can be about addictions and stuff. And this would be the opposite of that. So for some of us that can have a meaning of this is a week to sort of try to pull away. The devil is in reverse. So as opposed to being upright, this is a week to try to pull away from these things or people, situations to which we've been addicted or we find ourselves addicted. My clear mind is easily able to focus and to concentrate. And I also said that this is a week where you may need to focus and concentrate. So it would be good to avoid substances that cloud your judgment. Joining the Six of Cups in our surrounding energy and family is family. Isn't that nice? I pray for my family and give this situation over to God for answers, support, and healing. So this is with regard to whether it's your blood family or family of like close friends you've chosen. This placement for me represents close friends, family members, co-workers, and romantic interests or mates, of course. So those people who you consider like your family. The closest people to you, closest one-on-one relationships that you have. Work and finance, joining the High Priestess, we have signs. I watch for, notice, and trust the signs that heaven continually sends. Well, this week they may be sending some with regard to a new job or a raise or bonus or something for you. Some sort of positivity with regard to your work and or finance. And in terms of finance, again, signs for, to trigger you, pointing out there's something that you need to pay attention to in your finances and you might need to focus on and get right, okay? Love and relationship, joining the Eight of Wands in reverse. It is Father, and this was also in reverse. My true Father is God in heaven, who shines healing light upon me, my birth father, and our relationship. It was in reverse. There could be this will be pretty specific, obviously, but there could be for some, something going on with like a birth father versus a stepfather or an adoptive father, father figure. And that could be from where the jealousy is coming in, and that, could affect you in your life and or love life as well. Or maybe you're the father, or you're the object of the jealousy. You're the wife or the girlfriend or whatever, Also, it could be telling us, look, I actually put it down in reverse. I did not mean to do that. Also, it could be telling us that could be speaking of the masculine more specifically than the feminine in this situation, in terms of who is jealous or who's having a problem with jealousy this week. Joining the Ace of Cups for our physical health, we have trust. I know that God in his infinite wisdom and love is answering my prayers right now. So if you've been praying for an improvement in your health, again, the Ace of Cups signifies that there will be one this week, that you should be feeling good this week. And last but not least, the spiritual health, we have self-respect. I honor and love myself through my healthful actions. And so changes in spirituality or religiosity or religion or practice or culture or whatever, are for you. and for your health. And so you shouldn't feel any kind of way, bad, or whatever about making those adjustments, even if you leave the rest of your family and friends behind in some other sort of practice. But then you don't have to, again, try to turn around and convert them to what you're doing. Although I can understand when you see people sort of floundering and in a low vibe energy, there is a desire to listen. I've learned something better. I've learned something higher. I want to share it with you, and that's okay. I'm not telling anybody not to talk to, like I said, friends and loved ones about it. But if you feel like you're forcing somebody to come over to your way, that's what the card is warning against. The Five of Swords is warning against. This is a really perfect card for this placement because the Five of Swords also has to do with like self-respect and integrity and all of that. All right, so put this over here for a second, and I think last but not least, we'll do some advice from here. All right, this is the other deck that I had prepared. Oh, and the Goddess. So I'll put this one under because I'll likely read this one from the book for you. So for the masculine, additional card is Major Arcana card 3, the Empress. Represents the planet Venus, who I said was probably pretty significant this week. Time to hop into action. Use your natural creativity to bring forth prosperity and success in your life. Venus and this card, the Empress, represent the signs of Taurus, Libra, and Gemini, and can be about fertile energy in a literal sense, in a metaphoric sense. If you're not interested in getting anybody pregnant or becoming pregnant yourself this week, then take precautions. Somebody close to you, if not you yourself, could be actually having a baby this week. And then, of course, as the metaphor, giving birth, bringing something else, some other creation of yours to life. Could be working on art, starting a new business, starting a new path, any of those things. Also finding yourself like very, very attractive to different people for different reasons this week. Feminine, the Knight of Cups. He is romantic, flirtatious, introspective, and enchanting. A deeply emotional and probably romantic experience will sweep you off your feet. Things can move very quickly during such whirlwind encounters, so stay balanced and make decisions with both your heart and your intellect. The Knight of Cups is a Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, and could be, the Six of Cups person, could be like an ex, a soulmate. It's often somebody that is returning to our life, or we could be meeting somebody new this week. It is more potentially Pluto energy with another Judgment, Major Arcana card 20. It's called Renewal in this deck, but this is Judgment. Review and evaluate a favorable assessment of the facts. It's time to move in a new direction. So again, Judgment is one of my favorite cards. It is about abundance that is earned. It could definitely be tied to, the work, the surprise, the good news that comes with regard to work and finance. And although it is not, necessarily tied to Jupiter and the planet of luck, it could be, but it's really more so Pluto. But it's about like you having already done the work, so you've earned whatever this thing is. Whether it's physical work and labor that you've done that cause you to earn a raise, earn a bonus, or it's some sort of work you've done on behalf of the universe just by being kind and compassionate to other people and humanitarian and all that. So like God is paying it off to you. You're getting paid, something forward. You're scratching off a lottery ticket and winning a few dollars. It's some sort of abundance again that you've earned. Could be tied to relationships as well. It's also about second chances in life. So different areas of your life, a second opportunity to make a comeback. Like, maybe this week I find the right diet and I get a second chance and I go back to my old body. You know what I'm saying? Second chances in life. Trying to keep it fun and lighthearted. It doesn't have to be too serious. Second chances for a relationship, a job, new opportunity. And for the feminine, we have the King of Wands. He is motivational, idealistic, ambitious, and charismatic. Focus. Communicate with vision and be a leader. You want to take advice from someone creative if you get the opportunity. The King of Wands is an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Again, we have the Wands and the Cups coming together, so it could definitely be representative of a Scorpio as well, even though it is Wands and fire. And can also be showing up in our life, coming to us because of, again, Jupiter entering Pisces this week, which we're going to read about in a second. The King of Wands is also the quintessential divine masculine of the tarot. Could be tied to this father energy for you, and experience that you may have with the jealousy, unfortunately. What else I want to say? If it's your own energy this week, it is about you taking some sort of leadership role or taking charge. Remember I talked about, taking control with regard to this devil. It can all be tied to that too. Masculine, your goddess card this week is Nukua and Orda. And feminine, our card is, yeah, she's not one of my favorites. It might have to do with the love and relationship. I will definitely read about this. So Blodgewed. I don't know if I'm pronouncing any of these names correctly. Nukua and Order. There is a way, and I am that way, the way of nature that moves in all things. In the beginning, I created the universal pattern, the way things are, the way things flow, the way things need to be. Then I sequenced the seasons, harmonized the hillsides, organized the oceans, till all was auspiciously arranged. I am the natural order of things. I am the way. At the time of what the Hopi and Shansi people of northern China call the great chaos in the universe, Nukua, pronounced Nukua, I did it right, the dragon-bodied goddess, came to restore order. She replaced the pillars of heaven with the legs of the great turtle and repaired the sky with the colors of stones. Her repairs enabled the rains to fall when needed and the seasons to come in their rightful order. The dragons on her two pillars guard the path of the sun and the moon. The compass she wears at her waist symbolizes order. Meaning of the card: she flows to you into your life to assist you in creating order. Is chaos constantly peering around the edges of your life, threatening to overwhelm you if you relax for an instant? Isn't that funny? I kept using the word relax. I was going to relax this week, but now I can't. So this is probably what that's about, tied to the Page of Wands. Have you let things pile up and bury you? Do you find that you're excellent at organizing your boss, your family, your mate, but not yourself? Are you afraid of order? Afraid of, if you find a workable system for yourself, that you'll feel locked in and unable to flow? Or perhaps you have created order in your life, but in ways that is stifling and stiff, solid, heavy, engraved in stone. Now is the time to nurture yourself with order that assists rather than chokes your life force. So that could be tied to this too, the sobriety and the devil. Nukua says that when life is ordered in the natural way, you nurture your path to wholeness. When you forcibly impose something unnatural from without, you create rebellion and resistance. It goes on to talk about like a ritual that you could do to bring her energy into your life, but I'm going to move on to Blodgewed and Betrayal. Created out of flowers and made for pleasure, I was given to Lu La Geifs as a wife. We were happy, and we spent many hours making love till he left one morning for the High King's court. That day, another man came along, and it was he I wanted. His caresses were sweeter. His manhood was stronger. He promised not to leave me. I could not live without him. Together we plotted the death of my husband and carried it out 1 year hence. We thought we killed Lou, but he returned a year later and killed my lover. This could definitely be getting into the betrayal, like I was saying, the jealousy rather. Something funky involving some kind of party of three, maybe for some of you. I ran to get away, hoping to escape, but the pounding hooves of my pursuers caught up with me. The magician who turned me from flowers into a woman turned me from a woman into an owl as punishment for my betrayal. Meaning of the card. Well, here's the mythology first. Welsh earth goddess Blodeuwedd, pronounced Blodeuwedd. Okay, so that one I had wrong. Was wedded to the sun god Lugh, pronounced Lu, Lugh, on the midsummer holiday of Lugnasa. Her name has become associated with betrayal because she tricked her husband by getting him to enact the complicated means of his death, bathing under a thatched roof over a cauldron by the side of a river, while standing with one leg touching a deer. Then she killed him with the help of her lover. The real story is about the archetypal forces. She represents the voracious earth goddess hungry for the blood of the sacred king in order to fertilize her soil. Jealousy, the king versus maybe another, the knight. I was talking about exes and stuff here. Definitely somebody could have something to do, some sort of situation with an ex and the current. I don't know. It's not really completely coming in. I will move on. Where was I? Oh, here we are. Her hooting call is heard in your life, alerting you to a betrayal. How is betrayal showing up in your life? Do you have trouble picking trustworthy friends, partners, co-workers? I also said somebody could be not telling you the truth with regard to your work and finance. So it could be showing up there, this betrayal. If your trustworthy friends, partners, co-workers, mates, does all your care, consideration, and loyalty meet with treachery and betrayal? Have you misled someone so that you could get what you wanted? She says that on your path to wholeness, you must answer the question, how have I betrayed myself? For all betrayal stems from self-betrayal. So it could also be tied to your spirituality and or religiosity, because we have self-respect, we have the Five of Swords, so it could be about betrayal. And then, versus, again, integrity and stuff like that. And this too goes on to talk about a ritual that you can do on your journey to Blodeuwedd, or Blodeuwedd. But I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to go on. I thank you, those of you who don't wish to learn from me what else is going on this week. I thank you for watching. Please do like, share, subscribe, and comment and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to pick up my laptop right now. I'm doing it right now. I'm signing in so that I can go over what else is happening this week with those who wish to remain and hear about it. Beginning with the Christian feast days of the week. And those are on the 13th, the feast day of Our Lady of Fatima. And for those of you who are interested, there's also, like, if you have different cable channels, or maybe a Fire Stick or Netflix or Hulu or whatever, there's a movie. I don't know how good it is, but I kept, getting like I was supposed to watch it, and I never did. the movie about Our Lady of Fatima. So some of you may be interested in it. It is also considered the same day as the Ascension of the Lord. So this is a big day, the 13th. There's a lot of stuff happening on the 13th, as you will hear shortly too, in the other areas like the Jewish calendar, the Muslim calendar, the planetary calendar. The 13th is the big day this week, and that shouldn't be surprising to anybody watching my channel because we've spent a lot of time on what these numbers mean, right? So let's get started with Our Lady of Fatima. For that, I've gone to this unfamiliar webpage. It is Catholic News Agency, and we're going to read and see what they have to say about Our Lady of Fatima. May 13th is the anniversary of the apparition of Our Lady to 3 shepherd children in the small village of Fatima in Portugal in 1917. 1917, of course, equals 99. She appeared 6 times. Of course, we know 6 to be tied to Mary. She appeared 6 times to Lucia, who was 9 years old. 9, again, also a number of Marys. And her cousins, Francisco, who were 8. And his sister, Jacinta, who was 6. So today is actually the 8th. 8 is another number that's associated with her often, but not as often as 6, 13, or 9. And today is Our Lady of Lujan. It's the 8th, by the way. But of course, 5, the 5 in May, and the 8 for the day together equal 13. So there's always, she always like manages to get her numbers in there. Anyway, this happened, she appeared to these 3 kids on May 13th for the first time in the year 1917. She continued to appear to them every month thereafter through October 13th of 1917. The story begins in Fatima in 1916, it says here, when against the backdrop of the First World War, which had introduced Europe to the most horrific and powerful forms of warfare yet seen, and a year before the Communist Revolution would plunge Russia and later Eastern Europe into 6, so we'll see the numbers keep popping up, decades of oppression under militant governments, a resplendent figure appeared to the 3 children who were in the field tending the family sheep. Quote, "I am the angel of peace," end quote, said the figure, who appeared to them 2 more times that year, exhorting them to accept the sufferings that the Lord allowed them to undergo as an act of reparation for the sins which offend him, and to pray constantly for the conversion of other sinners. Then, on the 13th day of the month of May, Our Lady, May 1917. Why would they put Our Lady in front of May 1917? I think that's a mistake here. But anyway, an apparition of a woman in all white, more brilliant than the sun, presented itself to the 3 children, saying, quote, "Please don't be afraid of me. I'm not going to harm you," end quote. Lucia asked her where she came from, and she responded, quote, "I come from heaven," end quote. The woman wore a white mantle edged with gold and held a rosary in her hand. The woman asked them to pray and to devote themselves to the Holy Trinity and to say, quote, say the rosary every day to bring peace to the world and an end to the war, end quote. She also revealed that the children would suffer, especially from the unbelief of their friends and families, and that the 2 younger children, Francisco and Jacinta, would be taken to heaven very soon. But Lucia would live longer in order to spread her message and devotion to the Immaculate Heart. In the last apparition, the woman revealed her name in response to Lucia's question, "I am the Lady of the Rosary," end quote. That same day, so they're saying that this occurred on October 13th, 70,000 people had turned out to witness the apparition, following a promise by the woman that she would show the people that the apparitions were true. She had already come back on June 13th, and they didn't mention that one in this thing. I don't know what that's about. They saw the sun make 3 circles and move around the sky in an incredible zigzag movement in a manner which left no doubt in their minds about the veracity of the apparitions. By 1930, which is also 13, the bishop had approved of the apparitions, and they have been approved by the church as authentic. The messages Our Lady imparted during the apparitions to the children concerned the violent trials that would afflict the world by means of war, starvation, and the persecution of the church and Holy Father in the 20th century, if the world did not make reparation for the sins. She exhorted the church to pray and to offer sacrifices to God in order that peace may come upon the world and that the trials may be averted. Our Lady of Fatima revealed 3 prophetic secrets, the first 2 of which were revealed earlier and referred to the vision of hell and souls languishing there, the request for an ardent devotion to the Immaculate Heart of Mary, the prediction of the Second World War, and finally the prediction of the immense damage that Russia would do to humanity by abandoning the Christian faith and embracing communist totalitarianism was the second. The third secret was not revealed until the year 2000 and referred to the persecutions that humanity would undergo in the last century. Quote, "The good will be martyred. The Holy Father will have much to suffer. Various nations will be annihilated. The suffering of the popes of the 20th century has been interpreted to include the assassination attempt on Pope John Paul in 1981, which took place on May 13th, the 64th anniversary of the apparitions. The Holy Father attributed his escape from certain death to the intervention of Our Lady. It was the mother's hand that guided the bullet's path, and in the throes of the Pope halted at the threshold of death." That was somebody's quote. It goes on to talk about what they feel the meaning of Our Lady of Fatima is and so on. You can read this whole thing yourself if you like at catholicnewsagency.com, as I mentioned. Going on to the Ascension of the Lord. Ascension Day, or the Feast of the Ascension of Jesus Christ, also known as Ascension Thursday. That's what we called it when I was growing up in my many years of Catholic school. Some people call it Holy Thursday, but for me that's more the Passover Thursday, that Thursday of the Last Supper. It commemorates the Christian belief of the bodily ascension of Jesus into heaven. Meaning, it is believed that Jesus left no bones behind. We're not going to find, his body years later and all that kind of stuff, because everything ascended directly into heaven, just like disappeared. And so that is what Ascension Thursday recognizes and celebrates. Moving on to the Jewish calendar, we continue to count the Omer. So this week, the days of the Omer will begin on Sunday the 9th with day 42 and end on the 15th with day 48. So next week, we'll finally have something else to talk about on the Jewish calendar. And then moving on to the Muslim calendar, the 13th is also the last day of Eid. So Eid al-Fitr, also called the Festival of Breaking the Fast, or the Lesser Eid, or simply Eid, is a religious holiday celebrated by Muslims worldwide that marks the end of the month-long dawn to sunset fasting of Ramadan. So it begins on the evening of the 12th after sundown and ends on the evening of the 13th after sundown. So during this period, people will, feast and eat because they have been, fasting for a month long. Moving on to the planetary calendar. Nope, I'm jumping the gun. On the Christian calendar, we have the feast day of Saint Matthias, the apostle. His feast day is on Friday the 14th. Saint Matthias replaced Judas. Oh, I'm sorry. I went to saintmatthias.org for this. Saint Matthias replaced Judas as the 12th apostle, and he is described in the Acts of the Apostles, Acts 1:15 through 26. This is a quote. During those days, Peter stood up in the midst of the brothers. There was a group of about 120 persons in one place. He said, "My brothers, the scriptures had to be fulfilled, which the Holy Spirit spoke beforehand through the mouth of David concerning Judas, who was the guide for those who arrested Jesus. He was numbered among us and was allotted a share in this ministry. He brought a parcel of land with the wages of his iniquity, and falling headlong, he burst open in the middle, and all of his inside spilled out. This became known to everyone who lived in Jerusalem, so that the parcel of land was called, in their language, Akeldama, Akeldama. That is the field of blood. For it is written in the book of Psalms, let his encampment become desolate, and may no one dwell in it, and may another take his office. Therefore, it is necessary that one of the men who accompanied us the whole time the Lord Jesus came and went among us, beginning from the baptism of John until the day on which he was taken up from us, become with us a witness to his resurrection." So they proposed two: Joseph, called Barsabbas, who was also known as Justus, and Matthias. Then they prayed, quote, "You, Lord, who know the hearts of all, show which of these two men you have chosen to take the place in this apostolic ministry from which Judas turned away to go to his own place," end quote. Then they gave lots to them, and the lot fell upon Matthias, and he was counted with the 11 apostles, end quote. St. Matthias was present with the other apostles at the Pentecost. Aside from this, little is known about the rest of Matthias' life. According to one tradition, he preached for a time in Jerusalem, and eventually he was stoned and beheaded. He is often portrayed holding an axe, the instrument of his death. Another tradition claims that he preached the gospel to the Barabians and cannibals in the interior of Ethiopia and then was crucified. St. Matthias is the patron of carpenters, tailors, those with smallpox, and in prayers for the perseverance and hope. I should put on my glasses. His feast was originally celebrated on February 24th or 25th in leap years. But in 1969, February 25th is my former wedding anniversary. And the day that I buried my grandmother, the year she died. It is in 1969 that the date was moved to, which equals 70 or 7 for God. The date was moved to May 14th, so as to be celebrated outside of Lent. So now moving on to the planetary calendar. We have on the 11th a new moon in Taurus, 21 degrees Taurus, for which I'll do a separate reading. On May 13th at 6:36, Jupiter enters Pisces, 0 degrees Jupiter. 0 degrees Pisces. And that's it for the week. So, to learn more about what it means for Jupiter to be entering Pisces, I have gone to www.tarot.com. Jupiter in Pisces, spiritual, compassionate, and deep. And where I said Pisces and Neptune was about our deepest, selves and loves and all that stuff. Yes. Spiritual, compassionate, and deep is how it's described. Being the largest planet in our cosmos, Jupiter is known for its ability to expand our minds, hearts, and souls. It is a teacher, eager to open us up to the endless opportunity in our lives and possibility in our world. Jupiter is all about reaching further and going beyond our boundaries, which makes his transit through Pisces oh so perfect. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac and therefore represents boundlessness. It is a sign that revels in spirituality, fancy, and connectivity. Jupiter's presence in Pisces only helps us to magnify this vast way of living, helping us to reach feelings, thoughts, and experiences that we could have never dreamed of before. Jupiter is quite happy swimming in the wide and deep waters of Pisces. Jupiter is known as the great teacher, but during his transit through Pisces, the most important knowledge doesn't come from reading books or listening to lectures. This is a time to learn from our souls. It's a time to gain knowledge through silence, whether through meditation or walking through a quiet forest. Information and truths are sensed and learned within us and cannot be reduced to a simple sentence or two. With Jupiter and Pisces, the real prizes are found in our hearts, not our heads. Our connection to something bigger than ourselves grows during Jupiter transit through Pisces. Pisces is the sign of spirituality, and Jupiter is the planet of philosophy and religion. When these two team up, our concept of faith expands greatly. We can learn so much about our own spiritual connections by listening to the experiences and views of others. Instead of seeing our personal viewpoints as right and others as wrong, this that totally talks about that five of swords in terms of spirituality. Instead of doing that, this is the time to realize that we are all connected to the same sense of spirit. Yeah, I say that all the time. There is one God, and even in the Bible, if you believe the Bible, if you consider yourself a Christian, in that same book, he talks about, or it talks about God reaching the four corners of the earth in languages and ways that the people that are there would understand. That means that everybody's not going to be taught the same things as you, and everybody's not going to be taught in the same way as you, and that's okay, as long as they make it to God, right, and to an understanding of that higher being and their higher selves. That's what it's all about. So we're guided to see the word, this is the same spirit, even if the specific paths that we take and symbols of teaching that we follow look different, exactly, look different from someone else's. Spirituality is such a personal concept, yet realizing there are many, many paths toward connection and enlightenment can actually help us to solidify or expand our own unique views. Absolutely. While Jupiter moves through Pisces, our egos pull back and our sense of compassion expands tremendously. We're more intuitive at this time, helping us to truly feel the worries, fears, and suffering of others. We cannot simply disregard others' problems as their own. Instead, we're eager to help those around us to heal and to reach a happier place. Jupiter is a planet of great positivity and reward, and in this sense, the reward is a greater connection to loved ones and the knowledge that we've truly helped another soul back onto the right path. Overall, Jupiter in Pisces blesses us with a beautiful energy that helps us to strengthen our relationships with others and teaches us a great deal about ourselves. There is, however, one word of warning during this transit. Pisces is a very idealistic sign, and combined with Jupiter's abundance and positivity, our expectations can become so idealistic that we set ourselves up for disappointment. An optimistic outlook is always a good thing, but if our head and both feet are up in the clouds, reality could bring us crashing down. We mustn't lose our sense of hope and wonder, but we must realize that a bit of prudence can help us to avoid a big letdown. And it goes on to talk about what it means for Jupiter to be retrograde in Pisces or for you to have been born with this transit in your chart. My Jupiter is in Scorpio, so this is not for me. But I'll read about the Jupiter in Pisces one, should that time come up, which I think it will. I think it does. I think Jupiter does go into retrograde during the time that it's there. The transit lasts from May 13th through July 28th. So it's a pretty long one. And that's it for this reading. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please do again like, share, subscribe, comment. I will be back shortly with love. Namaste.